Welcome to today's Lunch and Learn webinar. What is the difference between reporting and business intelligence? Brought to you by ArcherPoint and Jet Reports. Our presenter today is Tara Grant, the Director of U.S. Channel Development at Jet Reports. She has over 9 years channel management experience along with a background in marketing and communications. And Tara focuses on enabling NAV partners like ArcherPoint to easily deliver reporting and business intelligence for the solutions they offer. Today, Tara will discuss what business intelligence really is, how it's different from reporting, and how you can use it to discover trends in your business instantly. In just 30 minutes, you'll learn how to quickly analyze trends and outliers to target actions that will enable you to run your organization more efficiently and profitably. At the end of this session, you'll be able to determine if business intelligence is right for you and right for your business by learning what it truly offers. We will have a Q&A at the end of today's session, so please either type your questions in the questions pane of your GoToWebinar console or use the raise your hand option to ask your question verbally. I will announce the person asking the question and unmute your line at that time. We'll go ahead and get started. Tara, over to you.
Thank you, Suzanne. Hello, everybody. Again, my name is Tara Grant, and I look forward to presenting a little session here on the difference between reporting and BI. This session is actually relatively short. I know it's a busy time of year for everybody, and if your December looks anything like ours, I'm sure you'll be happy to know that we'll get through all this information in probably less than a half hour. First of all, what I want to do is just kind of explain what Jet Reports does and why I would be presenting anything on reporting or BI. Jet Reports is the leading reporting solutions provider for Dynamics NAV. There may be some of you on the call, or likely some of you on the call, who have worked with Jet Reports in some capacity, and maybe some of you that are new to our organization. Just as a little review, we have about 70,000 users worldwide, of which about 95% or more are running Dynamics NAV. We're in over 50 countries, and our staff is completely NAV certified. We're also the only third-party reporting solution delivered with Dynamics NAV as a Microsoft strategic partner. So all we do is reporting, Excel, and BI, and we focus on NAV and have a specialty in NAV. So this really is our area of expertise. And what we get a lot of questions. We offer two solutions, obviously reporting solution, operational reporting solution, and BI with Jet Enterprise. And one of the biggest things we noticed is people kind of wondering, well, really, what's the difference? You know, what do I need out of BI that I don't get from reporting? And is business intelligence a fit for my company? I think, you know, previously or in years past, you know, business intelligence was associated with extremely expensive solutions and a complex infrastructure that required an entire staff basically devoted to it. And that just isn't the landscape of business intelligence anymore. It's really available to any company where there's a fit. Because price point, ability to support the solution, all those things have, the implementation has all become a lot easier, especially with the technology we offer with Enterprise. So let's take a look at reporting and then how that compares to BI. Now, some of this is going to be a review for a few of you on the call, so I apologize. But I do want to make sure to cover all the bases. Get everybody on the same playing field here. Now, if you are familiar with Jet Reports and the Jet Essentials solution, what those operational reporting tools, and let's just, you know, compare it to other items too, like the internal NAV report writer, Crystal, if anybody happens to be using that, they're all going to the production database. And the reports are being generated and created based on the inherent structure of NAV. Let me open the Essentials drag and drop browser here real quick. This might look familiar to some people, but in order to create a report and build a report, I'm going to go to the various tables within the NAV database, and I'm going to pull all that information together, right? So maybe I need to go to the customer ledger entry table to get transaction details, And then I need to go to the customer master table to pull in the customer name and their address and their location, whatever it may be, right? I pull that information together. Maybe I do the same for vendors. And it becomes an operational report. I'm looking at the record level information, go through the NAV database and piece it together. So what are some examples of operational reports? Well, generally speaking, most of your financial statements are operational reports. Here's a Jet Essentials consolidated profit and loss by company, right? I'm able to see on a summary tab what my P&L is broken down by the revenues, the costs, the profits. Each tab will break out the individual company details. When I click refresh on this report, I can change the filter criteria. I can change what companies I run, change the department that I'm analyzing in the P&L. When I click run, it goes back to Dynamics NAV. It hits all those tables that composes the P&L, and then it pulls that information and refreshes it. Again, a consolidated P&L operational report, all a part of Jet Essentials and maybe what you're getting out of NAV. Other operational reporting examples, and I'm obviously not going to be able to cover all of them, but things like looking at open purchase orders by vendor. This is a great example of a report. Maybe I want to see for a specific time period or a document or item who has open purchase orders for those. So I can click refresh. I can filter on maybe vendor and just see a particular vendor's open POs. Okay, again, a great example of operational reporting. Maybe operational reporting does expand into a little visibility on your data as well. So perhaps you just want to see what your top customers are and what their sales were month to date, quarter to date, year to date. Again, definitely a function of a smaller piece of your data that you're looking to see that can come from the production database. Again, we can refresh this report and look at, maybe 10 customers, goes back to NAV, production data, and refreshes it real time. Okay, operational reporting isn't replaceable. It's something you're always going to need, and no matter how you get that information. Obviously, having more expansive operational reporting capabilities is ideal, being able to format it in the way you want, etc. But if you can get this information, then what is BI and how does that compare? And this is really the basis for which I wanted to set up that comparison that we were talking about here. So let's go back into our presentation file. So reporting comes in my nice little clip art here. Reporting comes from this area. It comes off of the complex data structure. Again, NAV probably has upwards of 1,000 tables, and that's just on average. Some customers obviously have more tables in NAV, some have less, depending on the modules you're using in the database. There's also an average of about 10,000 different fields, which is ultimately making up your reports, right? You're choosing the fields from those tables and the subsequent records pull in. And maybe in the case of our customers, it's at least 50 or 60% have information outside of NAV or in multiple NAV systems. So maybe you use CRM, or you use a database that's specific to your industry. You have a legacy system from when you came off of NAV, right? Those are all different data sources. And in some cases, they might get wrapped into your data model. All the tables and fields from that separate system need to get pulled into the information with the tables and fields from your current system. So again, that looks like that table, field, record model of data, okay, where operational reporting resides. Business intelligence steps in by taking all of those data components and organizing them and subjectizing them and cleaning them and combining the sources together, if you happen to have more than just NAV, and putting them into a data warehouse. anybody who is familiar with a data warehouse may have previously associated it with a very expensive or, like I said, resource-heavy environment. And that it absolutely is not the case anymore, especially with Jet Enterprise. So that data warehouse takes what might be 1,000 tables in NAV, and it puts it down into, like on average, maybe 50 tables. And all the information that you need to analyze about your business or pull is still in that data warehouse. It's just all keyed. And it basically acts as a dedicated repository just for reporting. Now, the data warehouse is actually going to provide another environment for operational reporting still, where the analysis and the power of BI comes in is with the cube. Okay, and again, this is probably something many of you have heard of, is these cubes. Well, what are cubes? They aren't just buzzwords, I promise. They are actually the most simplified, powerful data structure that you can have. And what a cube does is it dimensionalizes your data. So the concept of tables and fields and records is actually completely eliminated. You no longer have to know, I need to go to the customer ledger entry table for this, the master table for that, and the purchaser table for that. Somebody who is leveraging the BI cube environment can actually just click and point on exactly what they want without having to know where it is in NAV. And I'm going to visualize that for you momentarily. What this cube environment allows you to do is actually get KPIs about your business. As the key performance indicators are, and sometimes very common, things like cost of goods sold is a very common KPI that a business needs. Now, how cost is calculated could be different across many organizations. And then there are KPIs that may be very specific to your organization or your industry. The KPIs, or the key performance indicators, are pre-calculated in the cube. Again, cost isn't something that's necessarily just a field in NAV, right? It's comprised of all these various entries that you put into NAV. And then you need to calculate it against all the different ways you want to see it. The cube does that for you already. So what you're able to get is instant analysis, because now the volume of data doesn't matter. It doesn't matter, how much information is being pulled into a report. It's going to always be instant when it comes out. It's fast, it's easy, it's accessible. And when I say pre-built cubes that I have written down here, that's referring to the Jet Enterprise solution. So let's take a look at the output that you can get from BI, or business intelligence. And you'll see that it's quite a bit different than what you can get from operational reporting. I usually like to start here with the sales dashboard because this is a great example of being able to analyze very specific business objectives in one snapshot, which is I'm only capable of doing because of the cube environment. So in this sales dashboard, I can see how my profit percentages compared to my actual profits and sales amounts, and how those are allocated against different product groups, against different salespeople, and maybe different dimensions that I'm keeping in my database, like item types or regions or things like that. As a user, I can maybe need to hone in on something specific. So I need to take a look at exactly what happened in 2011, and I need to take a look at, well, not much, obviously. So let's go ahead and go to 2010. And I need to take a look at what happened with my clocks and watches. And let's see how we performed with desk clocks. Okay, so now I can instantly, with a few clicks of a button, see who sold my desk clocks and maybe where they were selling, or how their profits compared to their sales. Okay, now again, look at how easy that was and how instant that was, despite the fact that the information that's making this up could be made up of hundreds of thousands or even millions of transactions in some cases. Sales aren't the only places where you're going to want to do analysis, obviously, on your data, although they are a big one. Maybe you just want to see your inventory and where you have it on hand, and you want to look at different product groups on the fly, or different item categories and where they reside. Let's just see what's in warehouse 2, right? Again, a couple clicks of a button and that information is instantly accessible no matter how it is organized in the nav solution. Financial dashboards are also extremely popular with BI, looking at how your budgets and your actuals are comparing and trending for specific periods of time, or maybe even specific companies. So now the question is, okay, these dashboards look great, and I'm sure that you built them in expert BI land, but the truth is we're leveraging a very powerful environment with a interface that you may already know, which is Excel. So the power of BI is also being able to give the capability of getting data that's needed to run the business from anyone, not just nav experts or people that know the nav database. For instance, maybe instead of looking at this information by salesperson, I want to go to the salesperson chart, and I'm going to go and change this to different regions or different countries. So I can actually go over here, and I can look at the, let's see if we can find the location. And I'll put in location code instead, take out the salesperson, and now when I go to my sales dashboard, I can actually look at how these are all broken down by location. So it only took me a minute to find what I wanted to see the information by, check one off, put the other in. Okay, so what's behind all this? Where did I go? What did I look at? Well, let's go ahead and take a deeper look at the cubes. Now, I'm in the Jet Report solution inside of Excel, which is an Excel add-in, and my cube icon is active here because I have Jet Enterprise installed, and this is that BI component we were talking about. So Jet Enterprise is delivered with 6 pre-built cubes, and this is, again, really where the power comes from. Think of cubes like, think of them like reporting subjects. Instead of having to know what module or what table or what field, you need to analyze a specific area of your business. What area is that? Is it finance? Is it inventory, payables, purchase, receivables, and sales? And you may have other areas outside of these, manufacturing in some cases, projects. There's multiple areas that you need to analyze too. And what you would do is you would add to this standard cube environment, something I'll cover here momentarily. But again, a very easy question to answer. What area of my business do I need to analyze? So let's open the sales area. And what that does is it populates the cube component directly into my Excel pivot table list. Now, a cube, again, is not like a table or a field or anything like that. What a cube does is dimensionalizes your data into measures and dimensions. A measure is a numerical value about your organization that you need to see, okay? Now, a measure also doesn't have to be just within the scope of nav itself, which is very important to remember. Things like profit percentage year to date, average unit cost and average unit price don't actually reside within nav. They are imperative pieces to my business that I need to see, and they are pre-calculated in this powerful cube environment. Again, those are the measures of the cube. The dimensions of the cube are the items or that I want to slice and dice those numerical values by. Do you want to see it by year, by customer, by location, by item, by account, by salesperson? Those are all dimensions of the cube. So notice how simplified this is. There's also very complex analysis going on within the cube that aren't complex when you use it. So something like company. If I check company it's going to automatically consolidate all my companies, or I can select which companies are consolidated all on the fly. So let's build something here from the cube just to give you an idea of how business intelligence can really empower your organization. So let's look at sales. We'll look at sales. I'm just going to click sales. And notice when I do that, it instantly populates the sales amount directly into my Excel spreadsheet. So I'm not sure if I actually picked the cube with all the sales data, but let's go ahead. Okay, so now I'm looking at sales. Now, how do I want to see those sales broken down? Well, that's where the dimensions of the cube come into play. So maybe I want to see this broken down by item type. So we'll do by item category. Now, let's go ahead and open up a different cube that actually has some more data. There we go. I think this one should have a little bit more, just so it looks a little nicer. There we go. Okay, and now let's break that down by item category. Okay, so now within a matter of seconds, I'm able to see what my full sales amount and my profits and profit percentages are by item, and all the sub-item categories and individual item numbers, those are all rolled up in there. All the details are there. And that profit percentage has been calculated against any possible combination that I would want to slice it by. Maybe something like dates. Now you want to see all your items, sales, profits, and profit percentages broken down year over year. Maybe you want to see it by location, so we could do by item, by location. So notice data that was previously extremely hard to put together and analyze is now just at your fingertips instantly, no matter the volume and no matter how many places it's coming from. Maybe we want to simplify this just a little, and we'll just look at our sales and our profits quarter over quarter. And since I'm leveraging the power of pivot tables here, I can just easily go in and add area charting if I want, and insert slicers. So these slicers available in Excel 2010 or higher are, of course, visual filter keys released. So I can have users, again, consolidate or unconsolidate companies on their slicers. They can select the item categories that are being analyzed. Maybe they want to look at the year in the report and the salesperson. So now I have powerful information that can just be clicked on without having to know anything about how this information is organized in nav. And quick little pivot table trick for you, for those of you maybe that are advanced on the call. I can actually copy this pivot table into a new worksheet. I got to get the whole pivot table. And I can create a different version of this. So maybe I want to see these broken down by item category instead of year over year. And we'll get a nice little bar chart maybe going for these. Well, they'll have to do to be a little more colorful. And then I can actually add this bar chart, and it's all linked to the same data. So you can start putting multiple pieces of data on an individual worksheet, and all the filters are linked to. So if you just wanted to see certain item categories or a certain salesperson, all of these will update accordingly. Now notice how different the BI capability is from the reporting capability. Now I'm starting to look at very specific answers to questions that I have about how my business is running. One area I like to show over here is, go open another report, another sales dashboard. Nope, not that one. This is another really good example of a dashboard that's extremely popular because I'm able to see how I'm performing over time. how did 2007 compare to 8, 9, 10 in multiple facets, right? In sales and in profit. You know, obviously 2010 had a huge spike in my sales amount, but my profit percentage went way down. So, you know, what were we doing differently from 2010 to 2009? And which products, which countries were selling and performing during these time frames, and just looking at this information on the fly. Great. So I didn't want to take a lot of your time today. Just kind of scratch the surface of business intelligence and what it really means, and give you a little bit more power behind making the decision on if PI is something your organization needs, or if your focus right now is on operational reporting and looking at that record level detail from the real-time database. Again, two very, very different things. So I just want to end the presentation with time for questions. And I do let everybody know that there is a promotion on Jet Enterprise, the full BI and Business Intelligence Suite, until the end of the year. So if you're interested in those details, contact your ArcherPoint representative. Otherwise, I'd love to open the floor for questions.
Great. Thanks so much, Tara. So if you've got any questions, again, you can use the raise your hand feature in your GoToWebinar console, or the Q&A pane in your GoToWebinar console. And I'm just going to give everybody a moment to compile their questions or raise their hand. All right, so it doesn't look like we have any questions at this time. Very, very succinct and very good presentation today, Tara. So we do appreciate everybody setting aside a few minutes of their busy day for this webinar. We hope you consider it time well spent. To help us continue to offer value, we'd ask that you take a few minutes more to give us your feedback on this webinar, and also suggestions for future Lunch and Learn topics that you would like to have us cover. You can simply email your comments to info@archerpoint.com. Again, info@archerpoint.com. I hope this helped you understand the differences between reporting and business intelligence, and whether or not BI is right for your company. If you have any questions after the fact, please do not hesitate to contact ArcherPoint. Again, thanks everybody for your time, and this concludes today's session. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah.
Thanks, Suzanne.